meet a Tzu Chi recipient in New York who has stayed optimistic despite illnesses. Tzu Chi volunteers deliver New Year dishes to care recipients in Kaohsiung. Welcome to Dai Headlines. I'm Sibu Shu. Thank you for joining us. In our series about Tzu Chi in New York, today we meet a Tzu Chi care recipient. He underwent 3 major surgeries 3 years ago, and after the surgeries, he suffered from leg pain preventing him from work. Despite his illnesses, he stayed optimistic.
Of course you will fall down if you do not have strength in your legs and waist. One time I fell in the middle of the road and crawled with my hands to the side.
Although it is simply crossing the street, for among-town factors, the risk of falling.
其实我的脚是不烫的，是很正常的。我的感觉啊，里面好像被火。
In fact, my feet did not feel hot. I feel that there is a fire burning inside. In the beginning, I iced my feet with dried ice.
His severe pain is caused by a herniated intervertebral disc, which occurred 3 years ago. Mong Fat has to undergo electrotherapy 2 days a week to relieve his pain after undergoing 3 surgeries.
他做完感觉怎么样？有没有好一点？
做了，那个肌肉比较松一点，比较松一点，但是过后最多是几个小时就一样了。
慢一点，对不对？痛是爬楼梯痛，是痛在那个腰的部分。
对呀。
Despite suffering from illnesses, Mong Fei is optimistic and strong. He has depended on himself to look for doctors and apply for medical insurance before undergoing the surgeries.
申请这个保险啊。
When I applied for medical insurance, many people questioned, how can I do this without legal status? I did not give up. Today, I was able to undergo the surgery depending on my own efforts.
我也是靠我自己啊。
Maybe his efforts have moved the heavenly beings. When he used up his savings and could not afford to pay the rent, Tzu Chi volunteers reached out to him.
对啊，那这个是我们给你那个额外的，不是算在每个月的。月初的时候给你一张嘛，对不对？这个是另外的纾困用的。好啦，感恩你啦！
真的谢谢你啊，你这么帮我，真的。Peter 很好啊，他的人很好，我觉得。
Peter is a good person. He would tell me about the different applications and other things.
也就是每个月的。
We mainly give him living subsidies every month. We bring him some food every Monday. He'll tell us about the medical insurance and good doctors. He's quite experienced in that. I have learned a lot from him.
医疗保险啊，或哪一个医生很好啊，所以他这一方面他其实还蛮有经验的，他也会分享给我们。啊，所以我也是从他身上学到很多。
Mong Fat is very happy that his experience in seeking medical attention can benefit other immigrants without medical insurance.
到你遇到什么事情呢？你怎么样都想，不要想其他的，你都要面对它。但是你也不可以停留在那边不管它，那个病也不会。
When we encounter adversities, we have to face them. You cannot stop there and ignore the problem. We can find medications to look for doctors. There's still hope, right?
Heaven helped those who help themselves. Mong Fei is a good example. Now he has the companionship of Tzu Chi volunteers and will no longer be alone in facing life challenges. In the United States, Tzu Chi has begun to allow students and their families into the Tzu Chi grounds to adopt organic vegetable fields. This life science farm allows parents and children to learn to cherish resources.
Focus， 摘菜。
Everyone is holding scissors and harvesting organic vegetables.
长得好不好？好。那有没有自己在家里煮来吃过？有，好不好吃？
It is also delicious when cooked or prepared with cold sauce, like this kind of lettuce, which is boiled or cold dish, is delicious.
This is the celery and lettuce we grew. They are very fresh. The harvest is very good.
Nature is the classroom. The students of Tzu Chi Academy from Walnut campus had contact with the soil, listened to the sounds of nature to understand the meaning of home.
For example, the flowers are tall and short. The tall one represents the father, and the short one represents the mother. Mom and dad are taking care of the whole family, making the whole family as loving as flowers.
Life Science Farm teaches the students that hard work leads to rich fruits, and the young shoots will grow up rich as well.
The Jinsebo makes steamed sponge cake each year in order to bond with local residents. Many volunteers brought their children to the venue, making steamed sponge cake together. This is the time when we put the cake in, and this is when we apply baking powder. Afterwards, we need to take the cake out.
Watching carefully on the making of the steamed sponge cake, for 20 years, Master De has been doing this, as she holds a very serious attitude.
The meal rice is blended into the cake. It takes 1 hour after the steaming. Because this is pure rice, we must steam it for a longer duration.
Small volunteers, accompanying their elders, have returned to the Jingsi abode, participating in activities they look forward to during winter break.
Maybe when I'm 4 or 5 years old, I think I can overhear since kindergarten.
Making steamed sponge cake is fun, even better than last year.
When she first came here, she was only 3 years old, and it was hard for her to make steamed spongy cake. But this year, since she is older, she has more power in pulling the bag and stuffing the cake.
Seniors and the youth happily contribute to making steamed sponge cake in preparation for the upcoming Chinese New Year.
Traditionally, steamed spongy cake means good luck as it helps us in benefiting the public. Furthermore, Master Zhen Yan wants to continue the tradition.
Under the collaboration of sincere volunteers, seniors and youths at the venue hope to bring auspicious steamed sponge cake to everyone.
At the end of the year, many people are looking forward to family reunion. Tzu Chi continued to distribute winter supplies to the needy. In Banqiao, near Taipei City, they accompanied 3 mothers and sons and resolved the friction between them.
他从原本的是很黑暗的地方，然后我们只是陪伴他，然后他就给他一股力量，然后他慢慢他就走到阳光的地方。
This visit is done before spring. She is chanting happily, but this was not the case a year and a half ago. Because of her husband, their home was sealed up, and Miss Juan fell ill immediately.
My mom collapsed and fell ill. After that, everything became bad.
If without Tzu Chi's help, in fact, our family sometimes has a lot of issues that I can't handle.
She needs to undergo kidney dialysis and also suffers mobility issues. After having a surgery to treat hydronephrosis, she felt very depressed. Everything in her life was not going well, but it gradually changed.
Tzu Chi comes at any time while your sons are always by your side. So your sons are the most important.
The one who also suffers is him, who used to be addicted to gambling and drinking. After his wife left, he suffered a stroke and diabetes. His legs were swollen, and so he moved in a wheelchair. Tzu Chi helped him live in a nursing home with dedicated care. Volunteers come to care for him.
When I was most frustrated, they came to help me. I was very grateful to them.
Over the past years, with Tzu Chi's loving care, the disadvantaged people are never left behind.
City volunteer Wang Guoyang is 84 years old and has a very special family heirloom. He has used the red envelopes of blessing and wisdom he received for the past 30 years and framed them up to form a picture. As the master is at Xingdian, he especially brought this picture to share with the master.
84-year-old Tzu Chi volunteer Wang Guoyang has collected the coins in the red envelope of blessing and wisdom for many years and has put together all the coins and framed them up. He especially brought it today to share with the master and also recalled the very first time he met with the master. Wang Guoyang have participated in both the construction of the small wooden hut in Puming Temple and also the construction of the Jingsi abode in Hualien. Since then, the affinity between Tzu Chi and him has been formed. In the old pictures, they're able to find themselves. Wang Guoyang was certified as a Tzu Chi volunteer in 1992 and is considered a very senior volunteer. Through their conversations and laughter, they recall good memories and cherish one another, as the bond between the master and the disciples will continue forever.
This year, due to the pandemic, Tzu Chi's hot pot gathering has been changed to sending Lunar New Year dishes to care recipients' homes. In Kaohsiung, the dishes for the care recipients in rural areas are vacuum-packed.
In groups of 3 or 5 people, Kaohsiung Tzu Chi volunteers go to remote villages to give out Lunar New Year dishes.
In the past, Mr. Lin smoked and drank. You see his hands, as he suffers from gout. His hands are very swollen, so he can't work. But after he came to do recycling, he got rid of his bad habits.
Seeing a table full of vegetarian Lunar New Year dishes, Mr. Lin, who is in his 50s, with his hands and feet gradually deformed due to severe gout and lost his ability to work, is very touched.
It's very plentiful, thank you. I'm very grateful.
Volunteers visited Qishan, Meinong, Neimen, Shenlin, Liugui, Jiaxian, and Taoyuan, a total of 7 districts. Nearly 100 volunteers were mobilized to send the dishes to 236 households in remote villages. This time they go to Mr. Liu's home, who is in his 60s and suffers from multiple chronic diseases.
Our master and city volunteers around the world give blessings to you. This red envelope of wisdom and blessing is for you. Wish you a healthy and a happy Lunar New Year.
We are very grateful. To us, the master has helped us a lot.
Mr. Liao has a lot of physical problems which are all chronic diseases. His brother rides a motorcycle to drive him to Taiwan for medical follow-up. We have cared for him for almost 5 years.
Volunteers thoughtfully chose to use vacuum packaging for the dishes to be sent to rural areas so as to keep them delicious and fresh. During the pandemic, although people could not gather to have reunion meals, volunteers still visited care recipients so that the loving care would not be interrupted.
In Kaohsiung, city volunteers delivered 200 sets of vacuum-packaged vegetarian Lunar New Year dishes to care recipients. Volunteers seized this opportunity to promote vegetarianism and care for care recipients.
After confirming the amount of the Lunar New Year's dishes again and again, Guo Fengyi persuaded the manufacturer to provide more than 200 packages of the vacuum dishes at a cost price and send them to the care recipients in the rural areas.
The master has said, don't let our care recipients feel like they do not have a festive Lunar New Year because of the pandemic. As I'm a supplier of vegetarian food, and because of this business, what I am capable to do in my scope, I'll try to do it. This is also what the master wants to do.
56-year-old Lin Su-wen just became a certified Tzu Chi volunteer this year. She started participating in Tzu Chi activities more than 20 years ago.
I moved by the master's compassion. As I'm not young and my child has grown up already, I can go into the crowd to give of myself. So I joined the volunteer training.
Walking into the care recipient's home, Lin Su-wen is very touched as she has experienced 2 major changes in her life.
My brother-in-law, who ranked the 3rd, was hurt by elevator and passed. And in 2012, her son had a car accident and his lower body became paralyzed.
When you experience changes in life, you have a deeper understanding of life. After learning more about life, I went meatless. I don't want to create bad karma anymore.
Getting in contact with Tzu Chi and stepping into the crowd, Lin Su-wen, a single parent, gradually became a vegetarian. 10 years ago, she opened a vegetarian restaurant in Qishan with her sister-in-law and actively promoted vegetarianism. Although the process was not easy, she firmly believed that only by practicing good deeds can her life be broadened.
Due to the pandemic, city volunteers deliver winter supplies to care recipients' houses this year instead of holding hot pot gatherings. In Santong, city volunteers also cook hot soup and made radish cakes for the care recipients.
因为无围炉，想讲煮一个烧烧的，起来去互伊食，啊嘛，互伊感受到咱慈济人的关心呐。
Ling Li has started to cook the hot soup since the night before. Due to the pandemic, Tzuchi's hot pot gatherings have been cancelled. Despite that, volunteers still care for care recipients.
Heirloom soup, rice noodles, and stir-fried vegetables. Since it is the Lunar New Year, we serve cakes, so we made radish cake.
After mindfully preparing the food, volunteers deliver it to care recipients' homes. Mr. Hong, who's bedridden, has suffered 2 strokes. He relies on his wife and caregiver for daily care. Volunteers are providing an electric bed and medical supplies.
Due to the pandemic this year, we cannot gather for hot pot. The master hopes that we can enjoy New Year feast, so we have cooked hot food.
有需要啦，上人慈悲嘛，伊讲咱走拢敢若一家伙仔人吼，啊互相帮忙。你需要什么都可以去签。
73-year-old Ms. Zhang lives by herself. She suffered from cholestasis and kidney damage 3 years ago. Volunteers have given her medical subsidies and help her get through these tough times.
每年我都有去参加那个围炉啊，今年说那个因为
I join the hot pot gathering every year. This year, due to the pandemic, you deliver the supplies to my house. I really appreciate it.
Although there is no hot pot gathering this year, volunteers' love and care still warm up the hearts of the care recipients. Before the Lunar New Year, Jiayi City volunteers deliver winter supplies to new immigrant families. Among the care recipients, a foreign spouse has taught her children to turn from aid recipients to people who help people in need.
的时候要给它揉差不多几分钟。
Miss Wang's 3 relatives passed away after she moved to Taiwan, and she's left with her 3 children. She does not complain. After Tzu Chi volunteers renovated her roof 6 years ago, she has tried to improve the family's life and donated part of the scholarship.
我们这样子。
We raise generation after generation and receive help from people. After we endured suffering, we can help others when we have work.
Since we renovated the roof, we have witnessed this family turn from being helped to helping other people in need.
Another foreign spouse, Ms. Yo, has also lost her relatives. She once felt hopeless, but after city volunteers cared for her for more than 5 years, she's now making donations to help others.
As so many Tzu Chi brothers and sisters care for me, I'm able to face life with courage. My children have also become more optimistic.
They also pass Tzu Chi's seed of love onto other people. They embrace the spirit of bamboo bank era. Generations after generations, they'll help other people.
These new immigrants have faced adversity with courage. With city volunteers' love and care, they'll be able to pass the love forward. With Taiwan's brain bank open for more than a year now, it has collected the brain tissue of many patients. In addition, dozens of patients and the public have signed a brain donation consent form. However, there has been a problem as personal consent forms have been rejected by family members. Here's more. I had muscular dystrophy when I was 19 years old, and I continued to experience loss and disability.
After 20 years of illness, Yang Yuxing faded from her post as a news anchor, later serving as a legislator and then transferred to an NGO. The journey has been more difficult than ordinary people.
If you eat, drink, and sleep, you have to rely on the help of others. I can understand the hardship that a patient can or cannot talk about.
After all her illnesses, she realized how important it is to find special medicine. Yang Yuxing recently learned that brain donation is now possible in Taiwan.
If the brain can be donated, I'll do it. I also donate my eyes, my bones, and even my skin. And finally, I'll even donate my body. Why? The reason is that I don't want others to suffer.
Sitting in a wheelchair, Yang Yuxing personally visited Lil Yu Shou, a patient with cerebral atrophy. The two people who cherish each other are patients who have vowed to donate brains and organs. However, their wishes may not be fulfilled.
The person who will carry out this brain donation will be the patient's closest relatives. So if these people do not agree or do not understand the importance of brain donation, then in fact the last wish of this brain donor will be impossible to execute.
Therefore, Yang Yuxing actively promotes patients' medical autonomy.
The passage of this bill is actually a very important milestone in protecting the rights and autonomy of patients in my country.
When the new law went into effect, patients can decide what medical measures they want or don't want. Their organ donation will also have legal status. However, because the time limit for brain donation is very urgent, Yang Yuxing believes that the inclusion of the health insurance card in the future will save the time needed for brain donation.
The medical team must recognize that this health insurance card legally valid document and then okay the donation procedure. Legally speaking, family members have no rights. Those who can oppose brain donation should make an amendment this year incorporate such ideas.
Letting the patient happily sign the consent form for brain donation is Yang Yuxing's goal. She says that when you want to cry, you must laugh happier.
We should let the public understand that brain donation and organ donation are actually the same as general cavitar donation by anatomy teachers.
The love of brain donors is no less than that of the people and anatomy teachers who donate their brain. However, local brain banks have just started, and the supporting measures are not perfect. For organ donors, local governments set up budgets to subsidize funeral expenses in funeral homes and cemeteries, and the anatomy teachers-related medical units will also contribute money and effort to assist the family in the whole process. But the current family of brain donors does not have the first two types of subsidies.
For brain donors' funeral and burial should belong to national level or our local government support and funding.
There are nearly 200 to 300 rare diseases which can be added into Taiwan Brain Bank Association, and the government will later see the benefit and support from this.
The cooperation between the government and the people is necessary for a brain bank operation. Don't forget that the most desirable thing for Taiwanese is that we have good wisdom and are willing to help others. And we also have compassion and will bravely help by donating our brain.
While local brain banks have had a difficult childbirth in Taiwan, they are now starting to come to life, and every step needs assistance from the government and local people who are willing to provide love and support.
In Keelung, a total of 15 people have been certified to the commissioners this year. They walked the Bodhisattva path with a sense of mission. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.